It's been a while since we've seen Khamzat Chimaev, and Khamzat was always a very active fighter, but we've been missing him for the past several months. He hasn't fought in a pretty long time. The only thing we could see from him is that he's training relentlessly. This guy's going crazy in the gym, from absolutely bombing on his sparring partners beyond ruthlessly. I mean, I'm going a little bit too hard on these guys, but how much he's beating on his sparring partners, he really needs to get into a fight. But he's also honing his skills. Yesterday, Khamzat put out a sparring video that shows something pretty interesting in his game, something that he really needed to work on, especially coming off that Gilbert Burns fight, his striking timing and precision and knowing exactly where to place his shots. You guys could check out the sparring video in full. I'll leave the link in the description below, but you see a lot of great stuff out of Khamzat as he rotates different sparring partners. A lot of the good stuff that you saw was more specifically his timing of his shots, and it's going to lead me to believe that when we see him next time, his strikes are going to connect a lot deadlier than ever before. It's been almost 8 months since his last fight. That means 8 months of rigorous training and progression of his skills. Like here for an example where he's moving forward and back on his sparring partner, moves away from the jab, which is going to draw his opponent inward to advance his attack. But also notice where Khamzat's hands are. His hands are higher, exposing his body, and this is where his sparring partner sees that opening for the left shovel hook to the liver. Once he dips down, ready to spring up with the power from his legs, he opens himself up on that left side, and Khamzat catches him right through there with a right hook. Khamzat does get caught to the body there, meaning that he was willing to trade a headshot for a body shot, but strikes to the liver could put you down, so that's an interesting thing to see from his mentality. He's always had that ruthless warrior mentality to trade shots, and has gotten him into trouble, especially against Gilbert Burns, but we also do see it in sparring as well, meaning that we're going to see it even further in his career as well. Or what about here with another sparring partner? He has his guard up as Khamzat moves forward on him, extending his left hand, and throws up a switch knee straight upward and misses on purpose. Of course, you don't want to knee your opponent in sparring. Knees and elbows in sparring are usually prohibited. You could throw them out there, but not land it on the sparring partner, cutting them up. And as he calculated perfectly, his sparring partner reached down, dropping his head into that knee. So great timing we saw there from Khamzat Chimaev. Also landing a good kick on the side of the knee, really showing the power that he's able to generate with that. Gets his pretty large sparring partner to stumble from the kick. We actually don't see a lot of leg kicks from Khamzat, but from this guy could damage his opponents with those for sure. And with the previous sparring partner, Khamzat's constantly dipping and bobbing to the sides, trying to find that angle and also get his opponent's punches off of him as well. And it actually works. So as he's dipping to his right side like this, he's also leaning forward at the same time. When he pulls back into his stance, his head is going to be away from his opponent's jab. His sparring partner is trying to reach him with the jab on where Khamzat's head just was, but because he slightly brought it back into position, it ultimately does not reach far enough. And that's where Khamzat parries it downward, opens up that side, and lands a jab of his own. In the southpaw stance too, which is actually not his primary stance. He's an orthodox fighter with a right power hand, but he uses that power hand in southpaw to devastate his opponents with the jab. And you see it here as well. He's constantly sparring in both stances, and he's a young guy who hasn't been striking for that long, meaning that he learned striking in both stances along the way. Some guys are able to do this, but for most fighters, it complicates things way too much. An interesting thing here to see is that his sparring partner, after getting touched by the jab, wants to catch him over the top with that left hook. And Khamzat did not see it. He moved his head forward and the punch goes just in front of his face. And you could see his reaction. He wanted to pull back away from it after it went past his head, clearly showing that Khamzat did not see the punch at all. But he actually adjusts this for his next sparring partner who tries to do the same thing. So most likely this sparring partner saw that sequence with Khamzat's other partner and tried to do the exact same thing to him. But this time, Khamzat is in the orthodox stance, which is actually going to give his sparring partner an opening of the jab. So he fakes up high first to mask in his step to get closer to Khamzat, knowing that Khamzat's a tall and long guy, and he throws a jab right in there, but Khamzat parries it. Not only does he bring his left hand up to his head to protect himself, but he also parries that jab with his right hand away. This is going to force that hand on the inside, and what his sparring partner does is he follows that motion inward and brings his left hand around to catch him with the left hook. This is the exact same thing his other sparring partner did, but he saw it coming this time, and instead of trying to block it, he meets it with a straight punch, straight being looping here, catches him clean, and also moves away with his head as he forces his sparring partner away with the force of the punch, causing that left hook to miss. You can see that Khamzat's mentality is always on offense. Rather than keeping a tight defense at all times, he wants to always counter or do something offensive in order to protect himself as well. He brings that saying as the best defense is an offense to his own career. And finally, we see the sequence here where he jumps forward from the southpaw stance. So he's in the air, brings his left leg forward, and his opponent backs up with his hands up high. Originally, his sparring partner had his hands low, actually guarding his body. But as Khamzat leaps forward like this, his sparring partner thought that it was going to be a kick up high. But this switch kick was actually to the leg. Beautiful stuff from Khamzat Chimaev. A little bit more rotation on there as he does kick with the inside of his shin. If he rotated that all the way, that would have been perfect. Absolutely 100% perfect. But it lands good. Something I can absolutely see him doing in an actual fight. Actually, a lot of guys don't even do that. And as his sparring partner has his hands up high, Khamzat grabs onto that hand to keep that hand high, which opens up the body for the knee. That was a pretty big knee, man. And as you can see, Khamzat's other sparring partner is just watching the whole time. So you could definitely tell that these guys are studying Khamzat before they get in there with him. That's what tells me that that other sparring partner knew exactly to throw that left hook at him after the other one did. But look at this right here. Khamzat extends forward with his left hand to feel out the distance there. And the reason why he's going to feel it out is because he's not going to throw a punch. He wants to throw an elbow. And he throws it at the exact same time, perfectly like a sniper. Once his sparring partner tries to throw up an uppercut, bringing his hands low, opening up that side for the elbow. The only reason why Khamzat threw it this far away is because, of course, he doesn't want to hit his sparring partner with it. But if this sequence was in an actual fight, he can easily knock someone out like this. Amazing stuff from Khamzat Chimaev, man. It makes me even more eager to see him in the cage, to see him actually use these techniques with actual better timing to his strikes, which will make him a devastating opponent, not only on the ground, of course, which is by default, but also on the feet as well.